Okay. I am in the midst of self-censoring as I attempt to figure out how to rant while I self-censor. And it's making me fucking angry. Welcome to Canada 2026. In the ever progressing infringement on our rights to speak freely and criticize those in power using language comfortable to our mouths as opposed to that enforced. Including advocacy for disability, by the way, particularly mental illness, particularly around MAiD, Okay, so C34, C22. They are not about protecting kids, okay? If it was about protecting kids, you'd see pedophiles actually going to jail. You'd see immigrants, aka who even knows how they got here or why they're here or whether or not they were ever supposed to be more than temporary, being given a total pass on jail time and sentencing so that their immigration status can be fucking protected. So you try to rape a child and you think you should be allowed to get a lighter sentence so you can stay and rape more children? What the fuck are we doing? Okay, so I mean, that's a different topic. The what the fuck are we doing is the different topic. But my point being, if it was about protecting children, they'd be protecting children. They are not. Pedophiles are homegrown pedophiles. We have many of them. Okay? Also, barely sentenced to any kind of jail time, if they are even taken to trial at all. I don't know what the data and the stats are on it because, frankly, I don't know if I have the bandwidth to process what those answers are going to be. But we all know that it's nowhere near what it needs to be. We know repeat offenders are constantly getting out. We all see the posts from the news telling us that X so-and-so high-risk sex offender has escaped from his Vancouver halfway house. Why is a high-risk sex offender on the freaking street? Okay? Why isn't that the question we're asking in the first place? I must have seen 3 or 4 of those a month for years and years. Okay, this is not a new problem. So if they were interested in protecting children, they would have done things to protect children. The population that offends against children is static and fairly small, and they are known to have extreme recidivism and high likelihood of extreme recidivism, and more importantly, escalationary recidivism. Okay, all of those things mean that we should just put them in jail and keep them there. Okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta find a way. You offend against children, that's it. Okay, as a survivor, I can tell you it's a lifetime of harm that is done, and I do not have the kind of horrific experiences that others relate. I had my own and they were horrific, but let's just say there are gradations of evil. And, well, I'm not going to get into that. That's a story for a different time and a different forum. Regardless, it's not about protecting children. Okay? I want to protect children. I'm all for it. Okay? All for it. But that's not what this is. Okay? And I want to be super clear about something. If these companies decide to leave Canada, that's not a good thing. That's not a win for us. If we lose our ability to access VPNs, to access Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be, even if you don't care about politics, even if you're not political, let's say you're just a business, trying to be a business, and Meta decides that in order to do business under these new laws, they're going to restrict Canadian users to Canadian content, making us into this kind of internal stuck sphere. Not unlike the Chinese citizenry, I believe, who are not allowed to use VPNs and can only use Chinese platforms and have very little access to exposure to the outside world, I believe. That may be incorrect. Someone can correct me if that's incorrect. But the point is, the grand point of it is, that goes for a while. And then you get to a street and you can turn around, or you can cross and keep going even further and then turn around. And the whole thing's off leash. It's mostly sun. It's not, I would go that way today, but it's like all off leash that way. It's not that way. All right, cheers. Oh, come on, buddy, let's go. Okay, oops. Well, I'm not going to edit that out. That's just, hopefully they're not in it. If they're in it, I'll have to edit it out. But anyway, point is, what was my point? Oh, my point, right, we're so fucked. I mean, it's not funny. I'm not amused. I don't think it's fun. But I mean, your business, your ability to reach customers requires algorithms operate on volume. Okay, AI operates on volume plus predictability, probability, and constraint metrics. AI and algorithms are the things that are going to decide who gets to see your products, et cetera, ad infinitum. Now, let's say your product is in competition with something the government does, or wants to do, or thinks they want to do. Who do you think's going to get boosted up in that algorithm when they're paying for ad spends? Even if they do stay, and we get stuck in some kind of siloed, bricked off version of Facebook where we don't see anything outside of Canada. Because in order for us to be protected from hate speech, you can't, no U.S. content could be shown because we cannot restrict U.S. citizens in their free speech on our internet. The internet doesn't belong to Canada. So anyway, I mean, the implications are just beyond problematic, and I'm concerned. I think we should all be concerned. And luckily, the only like good thing about this is that unlike C63, there is no provisions yet in this particular bill. We'll have to see if amendments come in this particular set of bills. There's no, I'm mixing up which one does which, but together they're the problem, right? One on its own, not a problem. Both together becomes a problem in a way that's just building blocks of control. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, in this case, the punishment is for the big companies. So 5% of global gross revenue, 5%, or $100 million, whichever is bigger, or something insane like that, or $100 billion, whichever, I can't remember. But either way, it would cost them more than the Canadian marketplace is worth to them as businesses. Because we are not that big. We don't have that many people. We are not that important. We are not tough. We are not a power. Okay? Sorry. We, Canada, exist as a power only insofar as we have the grace of American military might that protected us for decades. And that's just how it is. Unfortunately. 300 million people, 40 million people. It's just basic math. And we are about to get choked out. As individuals, as creators, as thinkers, as makers, literal makers, hand makers, anyone that has a business that wants to sell a service or product across the border is now going to become hamstrung in a way that I don't think they are prepared for. And so if you think, oh, well, I don't have hate speech, I'm not a bigot, so this could never affect me, wake the fuck up to reality. This isn't about conservative versus liberal versus I'm going to woke reify the world and this is how it should be and you're not doing what you should do, so therefore you're a bad person. We are so far outside of that ecosphere of elite discussion. We're talking about the same kind of problem, say grocery inflation, okay? That is the level of problem we are facing when it comes to how our digital lives will be censored and controlled if this is allowed to continue, stand, and go through. Because it's not going to stop here. People will find workarounds. Someone will still be hateful, and then they'll have an excuse to do more and more and more. They'll start utilizing all that data. They're making our ISP and cell phone providers retain, about where we go, what we do, who we talk to, what we say. And they're going to start using that to create maps of dissidents, quote unquote, people that don't want to be censored, people that criticize the government, people that do anything. And you might say, oh, well, I'm not going to criticize the government because I'm a good person. I'm not a hateful bigot that just wants to hate and be a hater. No, not right now. But if the right ever gets in charge of Canada and these laws stand, what do you think will happen? Do you not understand that this would also apply to you? And we're the hateful, evil bigots that hate everybody, so obviously we'd use it. But no, that doesn't even occur to you. Why? Why doesn't that occur to you? Why aren't you concerned? The Orwellian nature of all of this is deeply concerning, as is the desire on the left to be Orwellian. Like, it's this authoritarian crush. And frankly, it comes from it's too much cognitive dissonance. You can't be on the side of female autistic disabled people's rights to advocacy as female disabled people with autism, autistic, whatever, and also say trans women are women and therefore all discussions about female autism must include trans women. Because the biology of the medicine is not the same, or at least we don't know yet if it's the same. We know sex segregated data is incredibly important in medicine. In fact, it is essential in medicine, which is why trans women, however female they might be on a birth certificate, will always be male in a medical chart because they will always need a prostate exam, which is totally fine. It doesn't need to be something that anyone gets all upset about. Biological reality sucks. Trust me, as a woman, having a period is not something that's fun. But there's nothing I can, just because I should not have to deal with having a period, because women are just like men, no amount of me saying that is going to make it a fact. Nor is it going to take away the impact or problem at the core of it, right? And that kind of cognitive dissonance, trying to hold all of that in your brain, especially if your brain is not that big, creates an inevitable lemming effect, right? The lemming effect. I don't know if that's an actual thing or if I just made that up, but it sounds like it's a thing. My phone might die at any moment, so if it cuts off mid-sentence, that's the video you're getting today. If not, good for us. Anyway, the lemming effect, right? You're too smart to hold it all, and someone smarter than you uses a bunch of big words and a bunch of elites, sociological sounding jargon, the Derridian influence of the margin, whatever. Okay, I just mixed up a bunch of critical theory there because I actually do know critical theory and I've read a lot of it, and it is theory to be applied in conceptual discussion and was never enacted. It was never tested. It was never peer reviewed in the way that we understand peer review when it comes to science and medicine. Okay, there was no doubling process where someone else managed to get the same result using the same principles and steps. Okay, so this is so peer review just means a bunch of other people that think the same way they do agreed with them when they read it, that it was true. And there's no test to see whether the person reading it and peer reviewing it actually understood what they were reading. It's not like there's a test for that, okay? Anyway, I'm trying to, I'm not offering exceptional examples here. Sorry. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Right, okay. Forget the examples, that's enough. The point being, we're in a lot of trouble. The control is a problem. It's got to be a problem for everyone. The authoritarian nature of it, the fact that they force them, they steal a majority through backroom dealing, which is not how Parliament works. Okay, they shut down debate. They take cameras out. They reduce transparency, and it's a series of progressive steps. Okay, and it's very, very, very concerning. And I think we all need to be concerned. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to just highlight for everybody on this whole let's be super stressed out about these bills situation is these apply to AI chatbots as well. So any conversation you have with a chatbot, let's say you're trying to understand something, related to something that might be considered hate by somebody if they decided to be offended. Those chats are now up for being scrapped, which means anytime you want to have a chat with an AI and get facts or hard data on something, if the hard data is offensive to somebody, the AI will automatically scrape it and eliminate it in order to avoid getting penalized for hate speech by the Canadian government. Which means your AI will no longer give you the honest answers and your AI will now be shit. Okay? AI that has to constantly constrain itself and eliminate the best possible data in order to give a hedged opinion, when they have to pretend that both sides are equal in order to not offend, when they know for a fact that the data is incredibly hard on one side and incredibly soft on the other, the AI will fucking break. It can't do it. It cannot do it. Okay, you're gonna turn into a spinning wheel of death. Oh my God, I don't know what we're doing. I know what they're doing. But Canadians, what are we doing? It's time to get angry, okay? And make good decisions. It is time to start playing the actual game and stop buying into this false narrative that we have the same kind of democratic reality that we think we have. Because we do not. The media is bought and paid for. The subsidies are out of control. The backroom dealing, the Chinese interference, the freaking deal. We are in a very dangerous place in this country. And it is no longer time for tolerance. And I am not advocating becoming racist and hating the people and whatever else, okay? Because that's not the way it's gonna go. We have Canadians of every race who are just as frustrated and angry and worried about what's happening. And we all need to get on side. We need to start unifying as Canadians to talk about our quality of life and what our government is doing and not doing, and start thinking about why. Why are they doing it this way? Why is our media lying to us? Why is it every single story about MAiD spun as, oh, these disabled people want to die? This isn't a coercive eugenics program reminiscent of the Nazis in the 30s. No, we're not doing life unworthy of life. It's not a compassion-based burden relief. No, that's not, these are their choices. Yeah, that's not how it is. And here we have our conservative politics, and I get it, they're stuck. They don't have a choice. They have to play the game or they can't speak, right? But I'm getting really fucking sick and tired of them acting like we can fix this if we just write a letter to our MP, right? Sign a petition, keep fighting the good fight, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work. If the populace is brainwashed, it's not going to work. If illegals, and by that I mean people who are illegally voting, okay? If illegal votes that are coming from people that have no right to vote in this country, are winning political, what are we doing? Why? Why are we allowing this? It's not racist to say no, because we have so many Canadians of every race. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Canadians are the most tolerant, least racist people. And that does not mean that there are not racist people. It does not mean there are not people that perform racism. But guess what? I've heard racism come from Indian Canadians, white Canadians, black Canadians, Chinese Canadians, Korean Canadians, well, maybe not Japanese Canadians. Japanese people are pretty great. But my point is, I'm not saying that any other people aren't. My point is that people performing racism about other races in some kind of bro style, whatever situation, casual, like all of that, it's in every direction, and it's called humans and tribalism and innate characteristics of in-group, out-grouping. There's a lot going on there, but I can tell you something. We did not have racially segregated friend groups. Okay? And I mean, I'm not saying that nobody did. I don't know other people's experiences, but this country is not a racist country. I would hazard 95% of Canadians of all races are actually all on about the same page on about all of these issues, but because the media is lying, because there's all this division being thrown in, because bots and all this other shit is poisoning the digital space for people that do not understand how any of it works and are treating it like it's a fucking news